Thomas, it's up for grabs now! Thomas!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Good evening and welcome to the Arsenal Lounge. I'm Lavanja. Shaheen will be with us soon, but we thought we'd do the show today. Obviously, there was a lot going on yesterday, out of respect, etc. We sort of put the show for today, but we've got two great guests on. I'm really excited. Shaheen's on his way, as I say. Firstly, our Monday regular, Mo. How you doing? You good?
Very, very good. Enjoying life at the top of the league. Can't complain.
Good. And you stuck with that beard, by the way. You've stayed with it.
I don't know. What
is it a lucky thing? Is it superstitious?
It's not actually. I need to start actually figuring out how Arsenal do when I've depending on length of beard. But I'm getting a lot of mixed feedback from people in and around my life and YouTube and this and that. I haven't had a consensus about whether beard or no beard. I think what I need is a reliable person, someone that's got a track record of hitting the nail on the head every single time without fail. Mr. Lee judges, beard or no beard.
Do you know what? I'm going to say you look all right with a beard. It covers half your face, you know.
And this is what we're here for. Cutting.
No. Listen, let him have it. That is the first time he's been able to make someone else the butt of a joke about hair.
Honestly, I've got to say this. I think you look all right. I've got to say that. I'll be honest. You look good.
And let us know in the chats, beard watch, yeah? How the results go based on Mo's beard.
As long as it don't go grey, as long as it stays like the colour of your hair, then you're all right.
Well, if it hasn't gone grey after all these seasons we've had prior, he's doing well. I've heard he's like the Asian version of Mikel Arteta. His hair just stays black all the time. That's Mo. But sorry, we're speaking about hair, Lee. I know me and you are not in this convo.
Well, unfortunately, we're not Well, I was doing all right until I, started talking about hair and all that. Now, listen, I'm in a good place at the moment. I'm enjoying life, and I'm enjoying watching my Arsenal football team at the moment. It's a pleasure to watch Arsenal at the moment.
Hey, it's brilliant. Now, how's the knee, by the way? You had some keyhole surgery.
I've had the surgery. I've just started doing a little bit of jogging. Nothing silly yet. Yeah. Going to see a specialist tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll be able to step up my rehab and hopefully be on the pitch within about another 5-6 weeks. That's what I'm hoping anyway. You know what I mean?
Bet the team's missing the general.
They're missing the general. They are and I'm missing it as well. It's our first game this weekend. So we had a couple of games called off because we was at weddings and things like that. So, but this week I know I've got a proper game and I'm not playing. So I'm going to miss it. Especially when you got free weekend and all. If it was last week when you got Brentford at 12 o'clock kickoff, not bothered about it. But international weekend, we're playing football and I can't play. It's going to be a hard week.
No, I feel it. I feel your pain. But look,
thank you.
If it makes you feel any better, just like you mentioned when we first introduced you, mate, our team's doing really well. I've not really caught up with you since we've been doing
been brilliant.
Well. I mean, it's not just that we're doing well. It's the fact that the way we're playing, it's much more the Arsenal that we're used to, So wanted to sort of touch on the Brentford game, find out how you've been feeling about it all, go into it a little bit further. But I mean, look, the Brentford game away is the one we're discussing. It was a sticky one for us last season. First game of the season we lost. Obviously, the guys went in there with a sort of a revenge on their minds based on Tony and his tweets and all that. So we had Ramsdale in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel. Tierney was still in for the injured not Tomiyasu, for Zinchenko. White still in for the injured Tomiyasu. Thankfully, Partey was back. Xhaka, Vieira started because of the fact that Smith Rowe and Odegaard were out, and then we had Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus. So I mean, look, it was a very, very dominant display. I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be a little bit sort of scary at times, but I'd have to go a long way to think back at a game that Arsenal dominated so much, the possession, and put the game to bed. I mean, I'll start with you, Lee, because we haven't discussed it for a while. I mean, how are you feeling about the way we're playing and the Brentford game in particular?
Well, you just said something like something that we used to be like. It's been a bloody long while since I've been used to something like that, and I mean a long, long while, because I don't know how you guys felt, but at half time I was sort of thinking like, weren't worried at all. I thought, it would be more like 3 or 4 instead of like them scoring. Do you know when you're watching games, you think, they're going to get one in a minute, and you're all nervous. And I don't feel that with this team at the minute. I think defensively we're a lot more sounder. We control the game a lot more by our possession-based football. And it's not the first time that I felt very, very comfortable watching Arsenal. I said this before the beginning of the season started. I watched them a couple of times and I thought, cool, this is a different Arsenal. They look different. They looked a bit more street hungry, a little bit more powerful in stature as well as, mentally. I think Jesus is a game changer. I think he's stepped the bar up and the players have gone with it. And I'm really, really enjoying the game. And I'll tell you what, I was a little bit nervous going into the game. Then I see Partey playing and I thought, well, Vieira impressed me against Man United. And I look back at that Man United game, and even though we lost that game, we played really, really well that day. And it was just individual mistakes. If we'd have cut out those silly little individual mistakes, Gabriel, by the way, had a shocker that game, in my opinion. Yeah. But if we'd have cut out those silly mistakes, we'd have gone on and won that game. So, and we've carried it on in this game as well. We played really, really well. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, because I haven't spoken for a while about it, but I'm actually enjoying watching the games now. There was this time last season and before that, particularly in Mikel's reign, I was thinking, God, this is a chore. It's not very good to watch. And, I didn't want enjoying the games of football. My God, I'm enjoying the games. It's entertaining. We're looking like we're going to score goals. And I have to say that performance on Sunday was, I don't know how you, Mo, you've watched a lot of games as well as I've got. I can't remember even in the Invincible games. I must go back to that, and probably it did. But I've actually thought, wow, this is a breeze. This is comfortable. I haven't felt like that for a very, very, very long time. Like, you know what I mean? And Brentford are no mugs. Let's get that right. There was a spell of about 10 minutes in the second half when they started going long ball, trying to put it on us. We just dealt with it. Even when I've seen Arsenal at times dominate games, even when we was winning titles, I remember going 2-0 up at Liverpool and then getting someone, I think Van Bronckhorst got sent off and we was hanging on, or was 0-0 and hanging on. I can't remember. There was another game when I think we was 2-0 up there and we was hanging on at the end. And, we wasn't even hanging. It was a stroll. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to Brentford, but I just felt so comfortable all the way through. Fantastic performance.
No, I agree. I mean, if you think about even the Palace game earlier on this season where we were happy we won 2-1, we were still hanging on in that game at times.
2-0.
2-0, that's it, 2-0.
Yeah.
We were still hanging on a little bit in that game.
A little bit, yeah.
But Mo, I mean, you've heard what Lee's had to say. I mean, what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, well, I'd say it's an interesting point he makes about the Invincible era. And the thing is, right, this Arsenal era, if we, let's say, win a league or two, it's not going to be a team that is going to be remembered and cherished for decades and centuries. But the Invincibles is. And the reason for me is because Arsenal control football matches right now because we've got a really good system and players that complement that system. But we are not as incredibly pleasing on the eye as that team. That Invincible team controlled games because they were just so bloody good individually and collectively. But it wasn't actually about the system. No one ever really spent time looking at the Invincible team saying like, oh, it's because we've got an inverted left back and this player does. It was just like, they're just unbelievable. So very, very different teams. But I see Lee's point to an extent. We do control games unbelievably well. I think the best example of controlling a game is the XG, the expected goals in terms of the opposition and what they can muster. Now, Brentford accumulated 0.41 XG in the game against Arsenal. And just to give you a bit of perspective on this, Man United played Sheriff Tiraspol away from home, albeit, but Sheriff, and they got 0.42. So, here we are at home to Brentford, and this is Man United at home to Sheriff. And you think to yourself, come on, surely Brentford will give us more of a game than Sheriff will give United. But actually, we restricted them to less XG, albeit to 0.01%. But this is not the first time. In the first half against Bournemouth this season, I think it was 0. XG for Bournemouth, flat out 0. Unbelievable levels of control. And that is something that has wowed me about Arsenal this year. And you know, the way we always talk about game management, you know, when things don't go well, but we rarely talk about game management when things do go well. So I want to pull out one moment, and I mentioned this in my 5 at 5 as well, and Kieran Tierney. And this isn't to say Kieran Tierney is like the best person in our team for game management. What I mean to say here is that it's a culture now that is running through our team to be switched on, concentrated, to play with the right level of concentration and intensity at all moments in the game. This is when we're 2-0 up. Kieran Tierney runs across to go and take a corner. Now, as that ball is with the ball boy, he's sprinted to that corner, not just a little jog. He's sprinted. He hasn't stopped to even look behind him. It doesn't matter what's going on. It's not that he's thought to himself, oh, I can do this, therefore I will run. It's just run first, sprint first, get into position, then look up and see what's on. As soon as he's realized that actually nothing's on, there's no short option, there's no advantage to be gained by taking it quickly, he's picked the ball up and just like knocked it away with his hand. And I thought to myself, that's odd. When I saw him doing it, I thought that's odd, because on one hand, you've sprinted, and then I thought, sprinted to do what? Sprinted to chuck the ball away. But actually what it's telling me is that in every single moment, he's sprinting because there might be an opportunity. When he's realized there's not an opportunity, then it's time for game management. Knock the ball away. We're 2-0 up. We don't need to rush things. And it's that level of kind of like mindfulness, you know, in each moment of the game. What do I need to do here to maximize the chances of Arsenal managing this game and seeking advantage in every single little moment? We're very good at the dark arts now. And it's all of these things combined, to me, is what is allowing Arsenal to control games in the way that we are controlling them. And it's savvy. We're not naive anymore. I love it. I was watching that team in the stands at Brentford, and honestly, I was in awe of them. And I was thinking, you guys are a proper team. Like, you know what you're doing. And that's a great feeling to have. No,
you know what? You hit the nail on the head there, Mo. I think there's two elements. There he is, big man. I'll come to you in a second. There's
all
two.
Right.
Oi, we're having a chat here, yeah? Don't just come in here and start giving it really big bollocks.
Go on.
Right. So look, there's two elements, I think. First, I think Arteta deserves a lot of credit, because what he's done is he's taken out the poor mentality that we had in that team. Some of those players that weren't up to scratch. And I think what he's done is he's replaced them with natural winners. They want to win. Secondly, obviously, what's happened is he's created competition for places. That means that everyone knows that they've got to deliver to get in that side. Otherwise, they're not getting in. I think a huge difference, and I'm going to have to say that one of the huge differences is Saliba at the back. I mean, if you didn't give Ivan Toney a kick, hardly. I mean, he kept him ridiculously quiet. Partey is immensely important to us as well. You don't notice how important until he's not there. And then you realize, like Mo, we were having this discussion the other week. He doesn't always do the pretty things, but the things that need to be done, he does. And he allows the rest of the team to play. So, yes, I mean, it is looking good. Shaheen, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah? I'm good. My apologies. I was held up. I'm running a bit late. I'm very happy to see the governor. How are you, mate? You're good?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Shaheen. Nice you to turn up.
Yeah, invites everyone and doesn't turn up himself.
I'm sure you guys have had your fun. I'm sure Mo has had his say on this as well.
No, we're waiting for you.
Back on the show later on to see what has been said. But I'm happy to be here, especially after a great result. And glad to. Here we go. Go on, Mo. Get out.
I haven't said anything. I was waiting.
I'll be shocked if you haven't said anything.
No, we've waited.
But Lee, just so you know, right, what's been happening is since Arsenal have been doing well, he's going to bug it off. He hasn't shown up for one single podcast. And then, what was our last game? A defeat to Man United.
Oh, he's there, is he?
All of a sudden, here he turns up. He's like, yes, the winning run is over. I can come in. I can be negative. I can criticize the team. And here he is.
Yeah, he was here. And everyone in the chats who throwing questions, etc. Big up to everyone in the chats. Save them for the last 10, 15 minutes, and we'll try and get you some questions across to the gentleman. But Shaheen, what we've been sort of discussing, obviously, is the Brentford performance. But not only the Brentford performance, but the Arsenal performance in general, and how it's improved quite significantly recently, and how the team's changed. So, I mean, what have you seen? Are you excited? Because I know it takes a lot to get you excited. So, are you excited with this current team? Because
no,
your man wasn't there, by the way. Odegaard wasn't playing.
Yeah, we won. It was a very good performance, probably because he wasn't playing. But it's been really, really good. It's very hard to criticize the manager or the team. You know, we were unlucky against Man United. It was a very, very dominant and comfortable performance against Brentford, somewhere we struggled last season. I've been really impressed with Granit Xhaka this season. I think he's found a new role, or a new role has been found for him in the team, and it's working for him. I thought he was man of the match against Brentford. It was, if not close, man of the match.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited to see Saliba play. I've always rated him. I'm very excited to see Jesus play. I think he comes in, he wears his heart on his sleeve, if you like, and he puts in good performances. That is difficult to criticize. And Arteta has been doing well. You know, the only thing I've criticized Mikel Arteta this season was his substitution against Man United. Apart from that, there has not been anything for me to criticize, and I'm happy because it means we've been doing well. And obviously our position in the league reflects that. So overall, I'm very, very happy so far. Everything has been good. He's been doing everything that I expect of an Arsenal manager. Results have been on point. Performances have been on point. They've figured something out for Granit Xhaka, which is working out, which is good to see. So overall, it's been very, very good. It's hard to moan. It's hard to criticize because there is nothing to moan about. We've got a very difficult set of fixtures coming up, which I'm sure we'll go into later. But so far, so good. Perfect.
Wow. I've never seen Shaheen so positive. I don't know what to do with myself. I mean, look, I'm glad you brought up the Granit Xhaka thing because I have been one of his biggest critics. You have, I think Lee has at some point. We've all have at some point, right? Now, I'm starting to ask myself, is it because we were asking him to play the role that wasn't right for him? Is it that we were giving him this defensive sort of pivot role and we were leaving him exposed where it's not his strengths? And since Partey's come in, it's allowed Xhaka to go into a different role. And we've been looking for this number 8 for the last whatever season or two, and he's slotted straight into that. I mean, I'll start with you, Mo. Go on.
Yeah, look, I don't think you can really say, oh, you know, he's been in the wrong position and maybe we've been wrong to criticise. Bukayo Saka has played in various different positions at Arsenal, always kept to a minimum standard, always played really, really well. Ben White currently playing out of position, but has done a really, really solid job. I remember when we, in our run-up to the Champions League final, Mathieu Flamini was playing left-back and did brilliantly. Players at different times have to go and fill different roles, and we're not even talking about a greatly different role. We're talking about in that midfield area, somewhere or other. And you should be able to have transferable skills that you can play well somewhere or other. I actually don't think it's about that. I think that his biggest flaw seems to be concentration. And you have to be a lot more concentrated because the stakes are a bit higher when it comes to a lapse of concentration when you're closer to your own goal. When Granit Xhaka is deployed further forward, it doesn't matter as much. You can misplace a pass, he'll get out of jail. And that's part of the dynamic of playing further forward. You have to try things that are a bit harder to pull off. Very easy to pass around the back. But when you're further forward and you're trying to find a gap and pass the ball through that, fans will allow you to misplace a few passes because it's part of the job. Now, for me, when Granit Xhaka, and he did this against Brentford really well, spend some time forward, when he does get back into that more defensive role, I feel like he's a lot more switched on. He's a lot more concentrated because he's not doing it for 90 minutes or even like 70 minutes. He's doing it fleetingly. I think that's the bit that really suits him and kind of like has helped him mask some of the flaws in his game. And it's worked a treat. So yes, Mikel Arteta deserves a lot of credit for deploying him in that role. And Granit Xhaka deserves a lot of credit as well for adapting to it so well and doing what I wanted of him in and around that midfield area. Wherever you're deployed, play well. And right now he's playing very well.
No, that's fair enough. I'll come to you straight in a second, Lee. Wayne, thank you for your support as always.
You've seen the picture.
Oh yeah. Look. He gets everywhere, doesn't he? Look, Judges, Wayne and Judges together. Look, in America.
Thank you very much, Wayne.
He is like the Forrest Gump of the YouTube footballing world. He is everywhere. Everything that matters, he is there.
Main thing is we've got him today.
Yeah. Xhaka is playing the role he plays for the national team, and it's great. Further up the pitch with that defense. And that's what I meant. Thank you, Wayne. And that's what I meant. Lee, I like your take as well. When I was saying, I think it's because we were playing him in the wrong position, I was actually suggesting that his defensive duties, his defensive sort of area is lacking to play that sort of DM role, and he was getting caught and found out in pivotal moments. How do you see Xhaka's sort of resurgence? How's that come about for you?
Listen, it gets me a little bit down when they turn around and say, "Oh, it's a new position," and that. He was bloody very, very good for Arsenal last season. He was really, really good for Arsenal last season. People forget about that, But he has changed the position. One thing that has changed is I think that Mo's right with him there. He has to concentrate when he gets back into position where he hasn't got to do it. Sometimes you can ball watch a little bit, like and like Gabriel, by the way, is a little bit guilty of that, and that's what can happen. Also, I think it's underappreciated at how hard that role is when you're playing out at the back. And you have to take the ball in really, really difficult positions and play. It's not easy. Partey, by the way, makes it look very, very easy, but trust me, it's not easy. And I think the other key to it is, and I don't care what anybody says, he's got better players around him now. And better players, when you've got better players around you, it ups your game. It's as simple as that. When you put the ball into Jesus, it's not bouncing off and going out. There's a confidence, right, I can hit the wall pass. You're going to get it back, make my run. There's no hesitations in the runs. And I think that's something that I see in the Brentford game is that if the ball's going up front, right, I'm going to make me run because I know that it's going to be stuck to. I know it's going to be done this. And I think that, that's why he's getting higher up the pitch than maybe he was last season, because there were times it was breaking down and he wasn't being able to get high up the pitch. The thing is now it goes, the chance for Martinelli in the first minute showed everything that you wanted to know from a team. Yeah. The movement, the quick pass, the little pass in there. Now, that would have broken down. Xhaka doesn't look so good, but because he's made his run, the pass gets to him. Lovely little cutback. Should have scored, but unfortunately he slipped. But that's what's sort of happening. Better players around. The movement from the front three, I think, helps everybody else in the team as well, because all of a sudden you've got options. And I know we're talking about Xhaka and he's doing really, really well at this moment in time, but I think this is the biggest compliment I can give Mikel Arteta, is that every single player in that team knows exactly what they've got to do, and more importantly, what other people are doing. So when they've got the ball, they know, like, for instance, can't see what I'm doing here, but I know that Tierney's going to be out on my left-hand side in that area there, or someone's going to be dropping back in this area. The options are so much better, and that's what's giving him more, I think, making him a better player and looking a better player, because he gets in the ball. And Mo's right what he says there. When you play up front or in attacking more role, it condenses a lot quicker. You've got to be a lot sharper. But if you've got options and you've got options, you just play them. And I think if you have a look at that first goal, they know exactly how they're playing it, how they're doing it. It's like a game of chess, really, but in football terms. He gets the ball, he puts it out to Tierney. Tierney looks like he's going to attack him. Xhaka drops off. He then knows he's got the option of playing in Xhaka, which he does. He puts in a wonder cross, by the way. If Messi would have done that, they'd have been playing it on repeat. You know what I mean? It is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful pass, and a fantastic header from Jesus. And then you see the appreciation of the whole team. You know what I mean? I thought it was fantastic that Jesus, I don't know if you have seen it, gets and kisses his boot. You know what I mean? In celebration. It just shows you there's an understanding of the player, but also an understanding of everything there. And the final point about Xhaka, and I think, or two things I want to say about Xhaka. I don't know, Mo will probably agree with me on this one. I thought he led the game, led as a captain fantastically well, but it was very emotional at the end when he was clapping and the fans were singing his name. It was very, very. It was a poignant moment in Arsenal fans and Xhaka's sort of. I don't know. It was a moment. I can't explain what it was. It was
having a bromance with Xhaka now, are you?
It was redemption. It was such a good thing and he actually posted on his Instagram about it. So he must have felt that as well. I think the fans felt it and he felt it. There was a connection. And I think that's been missing for a few years with him. But for whatever, whether fans can forgive or whatever, I don't care. But that moment, it was a wonderful moment. And I'm so glad I was there to share that.
Well, I'm glad he's doing really well, and you can have a lot more comfortable conversations with his family now where you sit. Lee.
You know, look, listen, I've always said he's a nice guy. You know what I mean? Like, and he is. But that doesn't mean he's still got to perform.
Yeah, he is.
You know what I mean?
Can I just say something, Lev? I've always said this last season as well. I said, I think sometimes Granit Xhaka gets a little bit too much criticism because of what happened. And sometimes it's very easy to, after a defeat or after a loss, to say, oh, Xhaka this, Xhaka that. And I've always thought that, especially last season, he didn't get the credit he deserved. And I agree with Lee. It was very, very important for fans to sing his name. Because at the end of the day, a football player, if he feels loved by the fan, if he feels wanted by a club, it will reflect on his performances. And Granit Xhaka has been putting in really good performances, and I 100% agree with Lee. He led like a captain. I've always said, even last season, for me, Granit Xhaka is one of the captains in the club. And had it not been for what happened, he probably would have been the Arsenal captain ahead of maybe Aubameyang or Ozil, I think it was.
Wasn't he captain for that game instead of Odegaard, or was he? Who was captaining instead of Odegaard in that game?
Which game?
Brentford game, just gone.
Xhaka.
Xhaka, yeah.
Xhaka is the vice captain of the club. Yeah. So I'm really happy for Granit.
Playing football, Saint?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I was watching it, mate. I was there.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Granit. And
did you miss the toss up then? Did you miss the toss? You was obviously late.
Leave it out. Leave it out. It was a rhetorical question.
Live on YouTube, Lee.
All right, very, very quickly.
Asking if he missed the coin toss. That's all I'm saying, because he would have known Granit Xhaka was captain.
All right, whatever. Anyway, look.
I actually think that it doesn't suit Granit Xhaka to be captain personally. I feel like, when he's sort of like aware of the fact that he's captain and he tries to take too much responsibility, I think there's more errors in his game than others. Whilst, when he doesn't have that burden, I feel like he's like, just based on the performances that I've seen when he is captain, when he's not captain, might also coincide with various other things that we've spoken about here. But I actually just feel like he's a bit freer on the pitch and it suits him a little bit more. Vice captain, slightly under the radar, doesn't have all of the burdens that maybe a club captain does. And I think it works for him, and especially with all the history as well. I personally wouldn't even have him as the vice, but I'm much more comfortable with that sort of role than I am official club captain for him.
Fair enough. Now, before we go into player ratings, because we're going to do that, I wanted to discuss Vieira's debut, because I'm not gonna lie and say he was brilliant throughout the whole game. I think it's taken him a bit of time to adapt. He's not the same, from what I gather. It's very early to say yet, but he doesn't look like the same type of player as Odegaard. Odegaard looks more like an orchestrator and conductor. Vieira I'm sure we're going to see more of him, but he seems like he floats around and he's not afraid to shoot. He's not afraid to take a player on. And from what I've seen from him as well, he looks for that killer pass. But that goal he scored on his debut, it come out of the blue for me. It was a great strike. Apparently, according to the interview with him and Martinelli, he does that in training every day, that shot, because of the positioning of where he would be. He practices that all the time. So, I mean, I'll start with you, Mo. What did you make of Vieira's debut?
Well, actually, I think first 10 minutes, I took pelters for this in the comments of my own match reaction, because I don't think Arsenal were very good in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game. And I actually felt Brentford were targeting Ben White's area and having a lot of joy. So I don't think Arsenal kept the ball very well, and Brentford were actually doing quite well in the early part of the game. Now, you can let me know afterwards whether you disagree or not. But I thought Vieira didn't start the game well. I actually felt like the ball wasn't sticking to him when it was coming, and I was kind of looking at him thinking, but then very quickly, he really, really got up to speed in the game. Some lovely touches, even without the goal. Because, the goals can be a bit of a distraction sometimes. even if I analyse his game without the goal, and this goes for Saliba as well, really, really solid, good performance. And the finish itself was just brilliant, absolutely wonderful goal. It's funny, it reminded me of Bergkamp's second goal for Arsenal, outside the box, posting in, and, I just, the reason being because, it was an early goal in his career, and just what a goal to score. And yeah, man, I just thought he looks like a really, really tidy player. Really happy with that.
Fair enough. Andy, what did you think of Vieira?
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually said it I thought first 10, 20 minutes he struggled to get into the game. But what he'd done was, which I thought was very, very clever of him, is that when the ball went up to him, he just played it simple for about 5 or 10 minutes. Just right, one touches here, moving into space, just playing it. And that it just, what I think, it just simplified his game. And then he just grew in confidence. And I think that's a mark of maturity. He didn't chase the game, didn't start sprinting around and all that. Just let the game come to him. And when it came to him, I think there was the first couple of minutes he was struggling, and there was a long diagonal ball, and it come up to him, and he could have tried to control it and whatever. All he done was just, cushioned it back to the fullback and just went again off. And then he just got into the game. Everybody said, "Oh, that's a good touch. Look at that." He'd done that about 3 or 4 times, and I just think he got better and better as the game went on. And it was a good debut. I thought he'd done very, very well, by the way, when he came on against Man United. He impressed there. He looks like he's got something he's a little bit quicker off the mark than Odegaard. So I think this, it bodes well for us in that thing. I honestly think the biggest compliment I can give him is that no one walks out of that stadium going, "Oh, we missed Odegaard today." You know what I mean? Like, and that is the biggest compliment for me. Like, it wasn't mentioned. So that tells you that he done really, really well. Great goal. I love the interview with Martinelli when he said, "I was a bit lucky," and Martinelli said, "Don't say that. You work on that." I think that was really, really poignant.
They're really close, those two, aren't they?
They are really close. You know what I mean? So, and it's good to see. Yeah, it's good to see that they're all bonding like that, and that's what we've all played football, and we've all probably I've certainly played in teams where the team spirit isn't great, and I've played in teams where the team spirit is fantastic. And when you're losing with 10 minutes to go from the end, you've got good players, just as good as players I played with when I've had that team bond and when I haven't. And one team, the teams that I've been in with great bonds, we've come back on many occasions from 1-0 down and 1-2-1 and all that. And you think, wow, that's because you've got that little bit. You're prepared to just go the extra mile for that or whatever. So I do think that team spirit is very, very important. And when you're talking at the highest level, it's fine lines between this and that. And I think that he's very good. So the biggest test for Arteta is that he's got to keep that and manage that and keep that going. I always watch the substitutes when we score to see how they react. Are they sitting there with the ump, or are they're all up and involved with it as well? So there's a real good feel-good factor around the team. You can see it when the game finishes, that they're all wanting to come back. Do you know what? There was a reluctance for many years at Arsenal for players to come and clap the fans off at games. You know what I mean? And people used to say to me, "Why are you worried about it?" and all that. I've always said it's a big thing. When we lose, it shows that there's a unity as well, like we did at Man United. Now, when we won that game, everybody coming over and clap. There was a scene at the end where Martinelli wanted to go and say hello to his family and all that, and they weren't letting him. He weren't having it. I want to see my family. You know what I mean? I loved it. Everything about it.
Yeah, I actually don't. I have never ever cared about that. And the reason why is because fans I almost kind of feel like there's a bit of entitlement. Fans are like, "Oh, I paid so much and I traveled so far." And I've always been a believer that if you have that and it's natural, it's organic, and people are doing it because they want to do it, then that's absolutely great.
Yeah,
and that's what Arsenal have got right now. But when you see it and it's insincere, when you see players not putting in a shift, not doing the right things, not really giving a toss, and then coming over and clapping the fans, I'm like, no, you're taking the easy,
a great point.
easy points. You know what I mean? To get that credit and that relationship with the fans. I've always said you have to do the hard work first, and then you go and get those easy points that you score with the fans by coming and clapping them. Don't do that if you're not going to track back, if you're not going to do what I want to see from you on the pitch. But it's nice to see that they're doing both right now.
No, that's a good point. It seems to be a natural sort of togetherness at the moment, which is good. But look, let's whiz through the player ratings very quickly so we can get on to North London derby. I'm going to start with you, Shaheen. Ramsdale.
I'll give him a 6. It didn't have a lot to do.
Didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, whatever came.
No, he
his way,
did have one.
Like,
He came out and blocked a shot.
yeah. His contribution was okay. He wasn't really worked that much. So 6 is fine.
6. All right, fair enough. I'll go to you, Lee. Ben White.
I thought Ben White was brilliant. I thought he had a really, really good game. 8 out of 10. I thought it was a great response after his England shenanigans, you know what I mean? Like, which is scandalous, by the way, he's not in the squad. Absolutely scandalous. But I thought he responded really, really well. Are we missing Tommy Asu at right back? And I think Tommy Asu is a bloody brilliant right back, and we're not. So Ben White, to me, is playing really, really well. It's going to be an interesting scenario how that pans out, but he's playing well at the moment. I thought he was, they had Brentford have got some tricky wingers, by the way, with pace and power, and they showed it in the first 10 minutes, as Moh said, but handled it really well. Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.
He did well against Zaha at Palace as well.
He's done really well against everybody.
Fair point. Okay, so then we'll go one of the centre backs. Should we go Saliba? Mo, I'll give you a nice one.
Perfect. Yeah, he was my man of the match. I know you've spoken about Granit Xhaka. Thomas Partey comes into that conversation as well. He was brilliant. But for me, Saliba was just brilliant. When I was watching him, and really focusing on his game in this game, his intensity is just so good. And there were times where I looked at Ivan Toney and he's putting the cross in. And I'm thinking to myself, if Brentford are doing that, I'm very, very happy. And it's going right. Because any Brentford fan will want Ivan Toney in the box on the end of the cross. It's actually Ivan Toney putting in the cross. And honestly, I felt like as the game progressed, his distance to Saliba got slightly larger and larger and larger. And Saliba just bossed it, absolutely bossed it, and got the goal at a really crucial time. The opening goal gets a 9 out of 10.
Lee.
Yeah, because it's very, very interesting what you say about Saliba, because I actually watched the game, and it wasn't until you watched it back you realised how good he was. Watching him on that actually live, it was like, well, I expect that. I expect that sort of performance. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's just like he's so. I thought maybe because I thought Gabriel played better than him on the eye on that day because probably he was doing more. But when you actually watch it back, there seems to be just a calmness about it. And I was just thinking, like, it just goes under the radar a little bit. But I watched it back. I watched the game back live, and you think, wow, he done it for that goal. Do you know for Vieira's goal? What he done in that bit there? I didn't see that in the game. I
panicked when he did that. I'm not gonna lie.
But I didn't see that in the game. Live, maybe you miss things and all that, But I thought he was. I thought that's just one of his normal performances. But when you actually look back at it, it was far from that. It was brilliant.
Well, it says a lot, and the Brentford manager Thomas Frank had a lot to say about him as well. Said that he'll be a future international, and he got called up this week as well. So there you go. I'll take Gabriel. And now I've been a little bit critical of Gabriel in a couple of games this season because I think the one thing he does have, he's aggressive. He loves to try and win a ball, and sometimes he gets dragged out of position and makes wrong decisions. But yes, the game against Brentford, the balance was spot on. He got it just right. I think he played exceptionally well, and along with Saliba, kept the Brentford forward line very, very quiet. You can't knock it. I'd have to give him close to a 9 as well. I mean, 8 or 9. I'll probably give him a 9. I'll give Gabriel a 9. 2 centre backs both get 9s. How about that? You can't grumble with that. Shaheen, I'm going to come to you for Tierney.
An 8, I think.
Look at this defense, eh? Brilliant.
Yeah, look, defenses they looked, well drilled. Everybody did their job. Kieran Tierney is a solid left back. He's not going to let you down. I thought he did really well. 8.
I think he's defensively better than Zinchenko. There you go.
100%. 100%.
All right, so we're going into midfield now, aren't we? So who should we start with in midfield first? Should we go with the centre mids? Let's go with Thomas Partey first. Lee.
8 out of 10. I thought he was brilliant. I do you know what? I think he got out of third gear 3 times in that game. He just was absolutely bossing it without really going yards in. I thought he was brilliant. I thought some of his play was really good. This is the frustrating thing with me with Partey. He has to stay fit. If he can stay fit, what a player. Because I think him and Xhaka just dominated the midfield. And if you dominate midfields, you win games of football. So I thought he was brilliant. I have to say, and a great return as well. And took him off a little bit earlier. Hopefully get some more minutes for in the African games for Ghana, and I thought he was brilliant. Yeah, so 8 out of 10 for me.
Brilliant. No, fair enough. Shall I come to Shaheen with Granit Xhaka because he's usually so critical with him? I want to hear Shaheen give a good mark. Go on, Shaheen.
No, I've always actually it's very rare that I criticize Xhaka. I normally stick up for him. I'll give him a 9, mate.
Wow, look at this.
Yeah, I thought he was. What's that, Mo?
Come on, a 9, Saliba.
Of course, I thought he did well.
Oh, he did get man of the match, though.
Gave an assist. There was a time that he dragged back, won the position again, came back, won the. I thought he played really, really well. Led like a captain. 9.
Fair enough.
Boom.
All right, fair dues, as they say, as Shaheen says. So who we got next? Should we go Saka? Should I take Saka?
Do Vieira.
Vieira, of course. Yeah, I forgot Vieira. I'll take Vieira then. I don't think he had the best of games, but he grew into the game and he scores on his debut. So I'll give him a solid 7, I think, for his debut. You can't knock a guy that scored on his debut. And as Lee rightly said, Odegaard didn't really miss him. So I think that speaks for itself. So one of the 3 now is Saka. Saka, this is just. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say about Saka. I'll go with Mo on Saka. I know
Saka, really interesting one. That's probably out of all of the players, maybe like the one player where you might get a range of opinions, because some people might point to 2 assists, other people might point to the fact that actually he didn't have any successful dribbles, for example. It's a tough one, but overall, I'd say when on the eye test, just looking at the eye test, we know Saka can play better than what he did, in my opinion. But he still came out of the game with 2 assists. And he still forced David Ryan to a very, very good save with a first-time shot in the game as well. I thought Saka had an okay game, but he's still got so many more gears to move up into. But that bodes really, really well for Arsenal because, not all players are going to be firing on all cylinders at all points of the season. Saka will have his time. I've got no doubt about that at all. And this game, I give him a 7 out of 10. And that's, as I say, with 2 assists. But clearly, look, 1 assist is a corner. And if you're going to rank assists, corners aren't, up there with the greatest assists of all time. And then the little pass of Fabio Vieira. I mean, what's more telling than an assist is the expected goal from that pass. And I don't think Saka or anyone else is expecting a goal from that pass. So I think the 2 assists are slightly misleading. Saka can definitely play better. I give him a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I was waiting to hear from you about that because I don't think he's on the levels he was on the season prior. But he's a young kid, and they will have different of sort of form wise, and he'll be back. And Lee, don't think I don't know. You've been using a slender tone, yeah. I know you've been using a slender tone, Lee. You've been using one on the ab thing, haven't you?
No.
Yes, you have. I saw you take it off just now.
No, that's me out for me bad back, yeah. I actually have got one of those slender tones because they are good for but when I go away.
Your abs, yeah.
Because I can't do the sit-ups like I used to, you know what I mean? So my old back's been playing up today,
So you put a slender tone on.
Yeah, so I put the slender tone on,
I know the slender tone beeps. Stop lying to me. Okay.
No, I haven't put it on.
All right.
Anyway,
All right.
Anyway,
Martinelli, Shaheen.
You know what? Just before I give the rating for Martinelli, there's quite a few of you guys watching. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. You know, just it's one click. Hit the like if you're watching on Arsenal Lounge or if you're watching on Moh's channel. Make sure you hit the like. Subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to Lee Judge's TV as well. So share the love, guys. Hitting the like button doesn't cost anything. Sort it out, please. Behave yourselves. Martinelli, 8.
No, no messing
I like
around.
Gabriel Martinelli. Always, puts in good, typical South American performance from Martinelli.
Okay.
Works hard, puts the shift in. Love him.
There you go. And Jesus judges.
8 bordering on 9. I thought he was brilliant at times. I just think I think he's the game changer for us. I really do. I think that he just sets up the tone of it all, like his work rate, the way he plays. There was a couple of things that he done in the game when he turns one way and turns the other, and the defenders just go. You know what I mean? Like, and he's away. I just think he was brilliant. The only reason he don't get a 9 for me is I think he could have had another couple of goals to his name. I was desperate for him to get a hat-trick after, like all the Spurs slagging, you know what I mean, ridiculous comments that them were making the day before. But hopefully he'll save it for the North London derby. But I'll tell you what, and I mean this sincerely, it's not going to be long, and I'm backing myself on this. Like, it's not long before he smashes in an hat-trick. Someone's gonna get it big time off of him. Like, do you know what I mean? He's as sharp as a razor. Big defenders, small defenders, whatever, they cannot cope with him. I've watched Martinez dive into him there. I've seen big central defenders. He bounces off of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this now. He's been a real surprise to me how good he has been as well, boys. I've got to say that. I didn't think when we signed him, I didn't think he was as good as what he is. If he can but if he can just be a little bit more clinical, a little bit more ruthless in front of goal, and I think that he will be, and I hope it is against them down the road. I wouldn't love it if it is, you know what I mean? But he is going to smash some team with 3 or 4 goals in the very, very near future. Fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And before we go on to that nice segue into the Spurs game, special mention as well for Ethan Nwaneri, who came on 15 years old, 15 years, 181 days. I think it was 180 days when he actually played. He came on. That's crazy. I don't know too much about him. I know that we've got high hopes for him, and he's playing way above his sort of age range at the moment. When he's under 14s, he's playing under 18s, and now he's playing under 23s, I think it is, or so there's obviously a special sort of place for him there. They really do value him as a player. So let's hope he comes through as that sort of hype surrounds him. But going on to the North London derby, which will be the next game after the international break, it will be at home. We're historically very strong in the North London derby at home. Lee's sort of touched on the fact that he hopes that Jesus bangs him in against that lot down the road. So that's what I'm hoping for. But also,
Can I start on this one?
Yeah, of course, Shaheen. Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah,
in fact, you can lead it if you want, mate.
This feeling that was left with me last time we played Tottenham is still there. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I still feel bad about how we lost the last game at the Shout Lane. And I'm looking at Mikel Arteta here because that was on him back then. And I'm looking at him now to put it right. Make sure we go out there and we need to beat these lot. 1, because it's a 6-pointer. 2, we need to put that score right. What happened last time was not acceptable, and the pains is still there. And this needs to be rectified. This is a wonderful opportunity for that to be rectified. We're in fantastic form. It's at home. Everybody's been doing well. We've been beating Tottenham at home for a very long time. And it's all set for us to go and put that result right. Because, as I said to you, that pain is still there. So there's nothing except a win will do for me.
Okay, well, look, let's go to it in a bit more depth then. firstly, I'd like to hear from you guys as to how you feel Spurs have actually been performing with Conte. Because for me, I'm going to have to be, I'm trying not to be biased because I hate them that much, but I'm not really excited when I watch them at the moment. Whether they play at home or away, they seem to play a counter game, right? And that Leicester result really flattered them, that 6-2 result, because first half, Leicester, for me, were the better side. Second half, they started all right. But then when they brought Son on it changed the game entirely. And Sod's law, Son has not been in the best of form. Suddenly, he hits a hat-trick just before he plays us. Then there's also the other permutations as well to consider. If Zinchenko's fit, does he come in instead of Tierney? Do we stick with, Vieira scored, but if Odegaard's fit, does he come in? So I'd like to hear from you guys. I'll start with you, Mo.
It's so annoying. Son is a player that always scores against us. And what a time for him to flipping hit form. Really, really annoying. But listen, I'd say in North London derbies in recent years have favoured the home team. Arsenal are at home. We simply need to go and do what we've been doing for years. I hear what you're saying, Shaheen, about that feeling from that game against Tottenham back in the last season, where I think had we won, we would have qualified for Champions League.
Yeah,
everything was riding on it, and we didn't. But with that one, the question I have there was that down to Mikel Arteta, or was that down to Rob Holding? Because as soon as Rob Holding got the red card, that game was over. So I expect Arsenal to win. I expect Arsenal to beat Tottenham. I think we will beat them. For me, with that game in mind, what happened against Tottenham at their place, it's the reverse fixture that I want to see something from Arsenal. If we win in this upcoming North London derby, for me, that's what we should be doing, and that's what I expect. I'll be impressed if we go there and win in the reverse fixture. So there's a lot to think about when it comes to Tierney, Zinchenko, all of that sort of stuff. I hope that this international break doesn't answer any of those questions for us by giving us any unwelcome injuries and that sort of thing. And actually, I think that could be a massive factor in the game. Tottenham are going to have players on international duty, so are Arsenal. Let's hope we come out of it unscathed, and whatever happens to their boys, that's their problem. But I have to admit, they're undefeated. They're 1 point behind us in the league, level with Man City. And I feel like they've gone under the radar a little bit because Man City are Man City. They're expected to do it. They've been banging in goals for fun. Haaland is killing it. Arsenal, a bit of a surprise package because we're top of the table. That gives us a bit more focus. Tottenham are just sort of like doing their thing and not a lot of talk. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on them. But we have to make sure that we are not that we don't let them fly under the radar, fully prepared for the game. I'm sure we will be, but I have been impressed by them. I really have. I think they're a proper team with some real talent in certain areas. I said at the start of the season, I think they've got a good transfer window as well. The strength and depth that they have got is really good. Started with Richarlison, Son comes on, scores a hat-trick. Look, they're a proper team. Let's be honest about that. As much as I hate that, they are a proper team, and it makes for a brilliant rivalry. So let's make sure we just go and get those points and get those bragging rights.
Can I just say something? Mo, you said that if I meant if what I said about Mikel Arteta, what I meant is tactically, Mikel Arteta got it wrong. That we went in there with the wrong tactics. We went in there and we decided that we want to play against you. You play, we play. Let's see who win. All we needed to do with a team that was not all there. Partey was not there. Rob Holding was playing centre back. All we needed to do, go there, be a little bit streetwise, and not lose that game, and it would have been a different story. That's what I meant in terms of I'm looking at you, Mikel Arteta, to put that result right. Yes, the players were responsible as well. Rob Holding, as a professional footballer, was just stupid that day. But the fact that you go out there, maybe the fact that we wanted to go and play football, we left him exposed a little bit. That's what I meant when I said Mikel Arteta.
No, I hear your point, but what my point is that I don't know if we can even judge Arteta. Holding got sent off after about half an hour. I really don't know if we ever even saw Arteta's game plan that day. You have to adapt to a fiery derby. First 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you're just saying, all right, let's just get a footing in the game. Really, how much did we get to see of what Arteta tried to do with the team that day? That's why I'll give him that allowance, and I'll actually put it on Rob Holding, who had an absolute meltdown in that game. But I don't know. We'll see what he does this year at White Hart Lane.
Well, isn't it nice that we've got a bit more depth in defence? Lee, how do you feel it's going to go? And I mean, Shaheen's got a point for me in that game last season. We played into their hands because they're a counter-attacking side. What do you
100%.
think of Spurs? Like
100% we did. 100% we did. But we also, Mikel Arteta didn't have the personnel to play the game that he did. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's all right playing a high line when you got Saliba and Gabriel there, but when you got Holding and Cedric there, it weren't the right tactic.
Very good point.
But once they've, I agree, we should have gone there and just defended. But listen, I look back on that game and I go, right, if we'd have gone there and defended and lost 1-0, people would have slagged him off. You know what I mean? Like, the thing is, what I do like about Arsenal is that they try and play the game and they try and play it the right way. And I look at the game on. I didn't actually watch all the game Saturday. I watched a little bit. I thought I was going out, but so I thought I wanted to have a little look and see what I see about Spurs. I hope Arsenal play exactly like they did, like Leicester did, but just defend better. Because if we defend better, if Leicester defended well in that game, they'd have won it easy. They were all over them. They couldn't handle them in midfield, and I think that Tottenham are a counter-attacking team that sit in there. They allow you to have space. They allow you to come onto them, and then they hit you on the break. And I can tell you this now: why they're being successful and what Moh is exactly what he's saying is right. Because when they do hit you on the break, they are lethal. They are lethal. They've got players there that take their chances, and if you don't punish them, they will punish you. It is as simple as that. Now, when they played in midweek, they had a team that said, right, well, we're not going to attack you, even though we're at home, and you're not going to attack us. And it was a dull game, and in the end, they got undone by a little bit of magic. I honestly think that if Arsenal play really well, play like they are, and defend properly, then we're beaten because we're a better footballing team than them. But if you miss chances, like we did against Manchester United, like when we have chances and we miss them, they will punish. So we've got to be defensively very, very good, but we also have got to take our chances. And this is where Jesus and Martinelli and Saka, we're talking about Saka earlier on. I don't think Saka's hit the heights of last season, but that doesn't mean to say he's not playing bad because his level last season or his bar was very, very high. He's doing okay. But them three need to be absolutely at their peak and at their best. What's good about that is that Jesus and Martinelli will be sitting on the beach around about now. I don't know if they're in Dubai or somewhere like that. They are not travelling all around playing games. They will be fresh. 2 out of 3 forwards being fresh isn't too bad. Look how fresh they were, and look how good they were on work rate on Sunday. So I'm a big fan. I think Arsenal will score 3 goals against Tottenham. Right. I do believe that we will score at least 3 goals against them, but they could easily score 2 or 3 themselves. So that's why I'm saying that they are open. You can get at them, but you're going to have to defend really, really well. If we do, I think we'll win.
Well, I'm going to come for some predictions in a second and let us know in the chats as well. Do you think they'll change their midfield, like based on what they saw last game, and maybe bring in Basuma to rival Partey, guys? Anyone?
Instead of who?
I don't know.
Bentancur, I think.
Bentancur maybe, or Højbjerg or someone like that.
I don't think Spurs have changed their way of playing. They're setting their thing. He's a very, very stubborn manager. He'll go with what he thinks he's going to go with. Listen, they didn't play well against Chelsea. Let's be honest. They was poor against Chelsea. And I'll tell you what, they made Chelsea look a lot better than what they were. But they didn't lose that game. That's why I fear about them. Like, they're not playing that well.
I agree.
They don't lose.
I think Antonio Conte will come to Emirates and they will look to hit Arsenal on a counter-attack.
Well, that's the only way they play anyway.
That's the way they play, and that's why the home game is important for us.
Especially I think knowing the manager, that's the kind of thing that he will do. So he will sit back, keep it tight, and will try to hit us on the counter.
All right, so I'm going to ask for predictions for this North London derby. And before we do that, did anyone get the Brentford result right? We didn't, did we? None of us. No. I got the closest. I said 3-1. We won 3-0. So, Shaheen, can I have the... Oh, look at that. Look at that. This season,
right on cue.
I'm like Arsenal this season. I'm a total surprise package. Poor last season. Look at me this season. Top of the table, 2 perfect scores. Mo second, Tom third, and who's at the bottom?
You're the only one that's got perfect scores. They've got none.
Oh,
I've got one.
Mo's got one as well.
Don't miss Mo's.
There's none there, doesn't it? Or is that one of my eyes?
No, it's your eyes. It's your eyes.
Right. All it is a couple of results. That's all there is.
And also, you took the first prediction last, right? And Mo has always said whoever's top has first prediction, yeah. And you took the 2-1 prediction. So this time, I'm going to take the prediction for this Spurs game, and I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal.
Oh, you prick.
Yeah. 3-1 Arsenal. Mo, what are you going for? Your second.
2-0 Arsenal.
2-0. You think they're not going to score, Mo?
Yep.
A Saliba masterclass. And no, Shaheen, you're last. So Lee's going to come in for Tom instead. Yeah. What's your prediction,
I messaged Tom, but he hasn't come back to me. Go on, Lee.
I've got a feeling it's going to be a high scoring game, 4-2.
Ooh, 4-2. One of the old classics.
Classic
derby results. 4-2. All right, Shaheen, you could give us your irrelevant one now.
3-2.
To who?
Us, obviously Arsenal.
All right, 3-2 Arsenal. So we're all in agreement. We're going to win. Let us know in the
We're just
chat.
waiting for Tom. I messaged him, but I think he's having fun in his honeymoon. So
look, we've got 5 minutes left. If you've got some questions, chuck them at us. Shaheen, anything you want to discuss? I know you had this program planned.
Wait. I just want to wrap up all those predictions. So Lee said 4-2, Lev, you said 3-1, Shaheen said 3-2. I'm saying 2-0, and Tom yet to confirm.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, I've messaged him, so when he messages me back, I'll let you know.
Cool.
So Shaheen, you wanted to discuss anything in particular as well? I think it was upcoming fixtures are going to be tough.
We've got a difficult set of fixtures coming up because I think in about whole of next month we're playing one game every 3 days, which with the depth of squad that we have might be an issue if somebody gets injured. But hopefully we'll pull through, and it's a real test for the team. Actually, I feel coming up these set of fixtures, so we'll get a lot better picture as to where we are at the end of it.
Someone said, "Stop messaging Tom. He's on his honeymoon." Shaheen.
Yeah, well,
where's your romance? Quickly, David Hesgia asks: at this point of the season, would you take no trophy, a fourth, or would you rather gamble for a higher position or trophy? Lee.
Oh, gamble for a higher position and a trophy. Like, you know what I mean? I think Arsenal, I'll say it and I'll say it again. I think like at this moment in time, Arsenal are as good as any team that I've seen in the league so far this season. Like, I've not been that impressed with Liverpool. Manchester City, yeah, you know, looking good, you know, especially with Haaland. But other than that, I've not been that impressed with Spurs. Certainly not Chelsea. Manchester United, not. Arsenal got a high. Aim high, aim as high as you can. You know what I mean? And I honestly think we're in for a really good season, barring injuries, and that is a big thing. Like, but
that is true. I'm hoping Partey comes back from his
international. Must sign a couple of players in January. It's a must. If Arsenal do not sign any players in January, you might as well forget about it. Like, because they will not be able to cope with Europa League, the title, FA Cup as well. With the squad we've got at the moment, it's too thin. It might get us through to November this time around, and that's a might. But if they do not, if we're in with a chance, if we're still in the top four, come the end of by the World Cup, we're in with a great chance of doing really, really well this season if they buy in January.
Fair dues. Ash. I think it is. Ask question: KT or Zinni at left back? I'd play KT in the big games and Zinni against the smaller teams who play low block. Mo, I'll let you answer that one.
Oh God, it's
really nice
tough.
Nice one.
I would go Tierney against Tottenham.
Yeah,
because of his defending. Yeah,
because of his defending. Yeah, and also let's not forget he does offer something going forward as well. He can bomb forward. He can, you know. He's got that directness about his game that I don't think Zinchenko has. Zinchenko's technically better, but this is a blood and guts game, and I want Tierney in it.
That's a very, very good point, actually. And it wasn't that long ago. Everyone was talking about how he whipped in all these crosses for the strikers and how he was our main source of attack. So all of a sudden, people forget very, very quickly.
Depends how he comes back from international duty as well. Zinchenko's not gone. He has. So I'm hoping that
Wow.
bloody Scotland manager don't run him and play him in both games. You know what I mean? Like, and manages him well.
Very good point. And also, I'm really looking. You mentioned Haaland a minute ago. I'm looking forward to Saliba versus Haaland. That is going to be a great head-to-head.
Yeah.
Dan Hudson, Smith Rowe played right wing and under 23s. Do you think it could be an option Arteta looking at? Shaheen?
I think big thing with Smith Rowe is if he can stay fit to start with. But I think he's played wide for us, hasn't he, before? And it hasn't really worked. I think he played wide left. Playing a wide in an under 21 game and playing Premier League wide is a completely different thing.
Good point. Yeah.
But I think if he stays fit, I think he can play anywhere across those three positions. Right wing, left wing, in a centre. I think his best position is in a centre. So I would rather keep him in a centre and not have a proper winger on right.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, I think there's not many other questions coming through, so we'll leave it at that. Look, I'm looking forward to this North London derby more so than I have in the past. I mean, these North London derbies are getting a bit more spice to them again, aren't they? Since they were doing a bit better than us, and now we're on the way back. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. Is there anything else you want to add, Shane, before we go?
No, it's just I want to. Tricks has put Haaland will eat Saliba. I will highly doubt that.
I think you're underrating Saliba. I really do.
I will highly doubt that. I feel a lot more confident with Saliba facing Haaland than Ben White facing Haaland.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. But no, apart from that, just special thanks to the governor who's graced us with his presence. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Like, good company.
And obviously, my brother Moh, as always, it's a pleasure doing shows with you. It's always nice to see your views. Please, guys, hit the like. Make sure you comment on the video. Hit the like. Let us know your team selection for the North London derby, your team rating, player rating rather, against Brentford. Comment, like, subscribe. You can subscribe to Moh's channel rather as well, Moh Haider and Lee Judges TV. What you got going on there, Lee? Anything exciting?
No, it's just like just a little bit of content coming out. Some big things coming in the next couple of weeks. Just the normal stuff. It's listen. I think everybody's enjoying their podcast at the moment because Arsenal are winning, and it is a really enjoyable take on the Arsenal at the moment. So just enjoying chatting about the Arsenal. I'm really. Anytime, it's such a pleasure at the moment. Like, we've gone through some tough times over the last few years. I don't think you really appreciate like how hard it's been for us all. Like, and it's bloody enjoyable at the moment. I'll tell you what, like when people go, "Oh, it's only 7 games." Oh, you haven't played anybody. Up yours. I'm enjoying watching the Arsenal, and I'm enjoying the winning, but I'm also enjoying the way we're playing at the moment, and it's been a bloody pleasure.
There you go. I mean, got the old 80s up yours from Lee. That's a classic. Yeah, Alf Garnett style. Well, look, it's been a pleasure having you guys on. Really has. No, it's been Lee. We haven't spoken about it for a while, so it's really good having you back. I'm surprised you haven't got any of your player pals on your podcast yet. Maybe Granit Xhaka will be on there soon. Maybe his mum. Maybe his family.
I'll have a little word with him. Like, you know what I mean? It'd be great to get him on there. Like, So.
Don't forget who
a little story about Granit. I've got to say this little story. About
I knew there was a story in there, some celeb story.
No. He was going through a real bad time of it with the fans at one stage, and people were coming up to him, queuing up for a photo or an autograph, and he done every single one of them. He could have actually said, "I ain't bothering to do that" and all that, but he didn't. He stood there taking photos and all that, and I remembered that, and I thought, well, he could have actually said, "No, I've got to go" or whatever. He didn't, and I thought that was classy. He started, and there you go. So
I can vouch for that as well. Actually, outside games, as players are driving off and that sort of thing, Granit Xhaka, even in like the tough times, he would actually still put his window down, take a picture, and there have been times where. He's had some verbals from fans as well, and he's not shy. He'll give it back. He's backed himself throughout. Tough times hasn't shied away, and nice to see that it's come full circle.
Yeah,
well, I could also confirm that Shaheen is like that too. anyone that stops him outside the ground, he's always
You're such
got
an
time.
idiot.
He's let his hair grow and all. Like last time I see him, he's,
I know.
he's
I know.
He's great.
Well, you guys are jealous or something?
He's
No,
got more
no,
back,
no,
he's got more back to the Pablo look, isn't he?
And you took it back and slapped us round the face with it, like, you know what I mean?
We started on hair, we're ending on hair, and in the middle you had Levenley.
No, look, and he's looking more like this guy again, isn't he? He is. He's looking more like this guy. Here he is. So,
well, that is his double, isn't it?
That is his double. So on that note, guys, it's been a pleasure having you all on. You guys in the chat, thank you for supporting us. Please hit the like, stop, don't freeload, give us some support. And also, we really do want to hear your input on who you think should be starting and your predictions. We'll see you here on the other side once this game is happening. Oh, we'll see you next Monday anyway. But look, this has been the Arsenal Lounge, and we're out of here. Shaheen, do you want to do the honours? Now you're back, yeah?